when you're in a fight and the punch comes and you're there for it, there is impact. But when you're moving with the punch, then the impact is lessened. So the key to healing from traumas or changing your disposition is in moving with the punch. It's staying open. It's never closing, never, there's a certain amount of detachment that has to happen when you love yourself. When you love yourself, you'll never let yourself lose. You'll never let yourself, even the L is something that you'll learn from. And so then it becomes a win. When you love yourself. When you love yourself, it's your story. What is the destination for your story? Who are the characters that came along? Who are you in my story? Life calls for you to toughen up. Sometimes your outlook. Life calls for you to be resilient, to bounce back. Life is going to stimulate you into your growth. But, this is only for those who are seeking the lesson. If you're not seeking the lesson, then skip all what I just said. The only way that any of that is afforded to you is if you see this all as something that you are meant to grow from, meant to learn you. If you see it as the challenge that is something to defeat you, then you'll never make the connections that I just spoke of. They'll never occur. Roll with the punches. Don't allow for there to be the impact. That's how you lessen the need for healing, is when your detachment precludes the impact. And that is not to be insincere or phony with people or something like that. No, be fully involved in what is called for from the other person in y'all's relationship. But never lose self, never lose sense of self, to whereas you can't detach if new information comes that tells you this is not something that's for you. If you get locked into the thought that this is mine in life, then you run the risk of driving yourself crazy. Because it's not. Everything is God's. Everything is God's. And yes, we are a portion of God, but everything is not ours. Not until it's assigned to us. And that's about permission. You know, many people approach that whole thing from a very arrogant place. And they try to control that movement. No, that movement is not yours to control. It's yours to watch and respond to. But it's God's to control. The big one too. The one that is in and outside of you and in everybody else. The big one too. Yeah. Ego. The ego is what kills us. Period. We can all go home now. The ego is what fails you in life. The ego is what destroys you because it gives you a false sense of everything, of yourself and your reality. Ego fools you. If you are a victim of your ego, then you become self-centered. You become, selfish. You fail to understand and acknowledge how you affect others. You miss it. You miss the connection of your actions to others' lives. You insert yourself into other people's affairs. It's an ego thing. Your ego's, something that controls you. Then it shows up as arrogance. It shows up as dictatorialness, wanting to control and have an effect on others' lives that is not of your permission to do. You lose yourself when you allow ego. Yourself is what is connected to everyone else. And this you lose when you focus on self to the point of ego-driven actions and intentions. Lose the ego, and you can establish brotherhood, sisterhood with others. You find that to be true in your reality. Lose the ego, and you find your connection to others. How deeply are you involved in living this life thing? Right? Do you see life as a burden? Life is just something you gotta get up and go do this thing every day. And your spiritual tradition is now offering you no answers that you could feel in your heart. How deeply, are you in the matrix? See, some of us are in this world. And in this world, right? You can't see things, certain things is around that, right? It's not the way to be, right? In this world, what I mean by in this world, and in this world, I mean, you go for it, right? You take it, everything they tell you on the news, you are in with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you have suspended critical thinking, right? You believe everything that they got for you to talk about, right? This is a mistake. This is a mistake. Somewhere you better turn them lights back on, right? The key is to be in the world, but not of this world. We here, but we not from here. Alright, but if you don't know, see, that's why, that, that faculty of intelligence, right, that gets you to be curious about things and put your mind over here, then pick up a book and put your mind over here. This thing is going to clue you in to certain things. You're going to get an understanding or have an understanding of certain things. Where's that going? When you're in the world but not of the world, then you can see the matrix happening around you. You can see, a little bit more than the average Joe that's in the world and of the world. And yeah, it's just reality. But in life, we're supposed to come awake. It's not on us to stay asleep. We're supposed to come awake. What do I mean by awake? I mean, have the ability to see past the matrix. There's a reality that they created for you. And then there's a real reality, an actual reality of who you are. Right? If you're not seeking these questions, then I won't judge you. But I'm just going to say there's more to it that you need to be on. There's more to it. This life thing is not to be taken for granted. Come here to grow. Come here to this planet to grow your spirit through the experiences that you have on this earth. The good experiences, the bad experiences. You're supposed to take them all into trance at some point and analyze them, absorb them, learn from them. Come here to grow. That's your mission. That was always your mission. Now, some of us, some of us just, like to come back, repeat ourselves. So we get caught up in the game of life. Yeah, that's part of it. If that's what you make your reality, that is part of it, but then you owe something to the universe, because that wasn't your mission. Your mission was to come here and find yourself within the midst of this big illusion that Earth is, that life is. That was the mission, to find yourself. When life comes and show you yourself, don't deny yourself. When life comes and gives you a choice between yourself and something else, and you deny yourself, there's karma for that, because you owe something to yourself. The collective that we are, we owe something to, even though y'all think y'all don't. Many of y'all don't think y'all owe anything to anybody. You come from a collective. You're part of a collective. You are, whether you know it or not. You just think you just appeared of your own. No, everything that you are, how you appeared, everything else appeared. So that means y'all from the same thing. That same thing spawned you. You know? If you don't feel like you have you owe anything to anybody, then it just means that you don't have love in your heart. You know? With love closed, with that love, that heart chakra turned off, you're missing a big part of it. A big part of it, the big key. One of the big keys of this whole thing is that part. That love part. That ability to connect with others from the heart. Based on the essential connection that you share. See, that's when you really honor God, and you appreciate God, and you identify with the Creator, is when you can grab hold of that love for self and others. Walk in that love, universal love. Give because there's need, not because there's ulterior motive or prestige or even a good feeling. Give because there's need.